So today we will try to do Bollinger Bands on intraday data. So I've come across a very good website called Stockrageous. Many of you may have heard of it, but if you haven't, I'll post the link below. But it's free intraday data, and most symbols are pretty much on here. So it's really good. Just go to stockrageous.com, type in the symbol, you click on data, you select the range. Let's do, let's go back like a month, February 25th, 2013. They have end of day. You can click on end of day, 1 week, 1 month, but today we'll be doing the intraday. They have 1, 2, 5, 10, 15, and 30-minute intervals. And we'll take a look at the 15-minute intervals. And just click download, and it'll give you a spreadsheet. So the first thing you want to do is put this in order. So just click Control A to select all data. Click on custom sort, and we want to sort by date and then by time. So there we go. We have February 25th at 9:30 when the market opens. It's Eastern time, and so on and so forth. If you're really picky about, because I've done an analysis on intraday data, and sometimes this website might skip like maybe one time. It'll skip like say you have 12:45 and then it'll go to 13:15. So it might skip one time, 1 15-minute interval, or whatever time frame you're using. So if you want to go ahead and check it, this usually happens by or it usually happens with symbols that are not so liquid. This one is Microsoft, so it should have every interval. Well, I won't go ahead and check it for this, but if you're really picky, you could go ahead and skim through it. So we want to start off with the average. We will be using the 20-period average. So we'll go to the 25th row. We'll put equals average, put in the parentheses, and we will be using the closing prices. So just go ahead and click the closing prices. Hit enter. It'll give you 4 decimal places, so we want to round that to 2. So just decrease the number of decimal places until you see 2, and double click that so you can get all of the prices. So it'll calculate the same. It'll use the same formula for the rest of them. Down to the bottom, go ahead and check. And we have to calculate the upper band. The upper band. So what the upper band is, it's basically I like to use this 2 standard deviations. So what the upper band is, 2 standard deviations above the average line. So how we write that is you click on the average price, and then plus, and then you put in parentheses 2, and then a little star, which just means multiply that by the standard deviation, 2 standard deviations of the average. So how we want to do that is click on all of the closing prices. Not too far. So what I have written here is the average plus 2 standard deviations of this period here. Okay, so hit enter. Again, move that to 2 decimal places. Double click it, and then we want to calculate the lower band. The lower band is basically the same formula, but instead of for the plus, we want to use minus. So I'll just go ahead and copy this formula here. I'll hit Control X, and then you hit Control V to repaste that formula on there, because if you cut it, it's gonna leave it blank. So I'll just paste it back on there and hit enter. So I have changed nothing. So you click on this cell here and just hit Control V on there, and it'll do the formula again. And change the plus to a minus, hit enter, and again round that to 2 decimal places. Double click it, and there you go. You've calculated your average, the upper band, lower band. And what we want to do now is calculate or graph this. I'm sorry. So we'll open a new sheet, put in graph. What you want to do is go ahead and highlight date, the time, the close, the average, the upper band, and the lower band. The reason why I highlighted the time and date is because if you only highlight the date, it's gonna come out weird. Like it'll give you just because it's using the same date over all these intervals, and then it comes out weird. I mean, you could graph it and see what I mean, but what you want to do is also calculate the time, and then click on the charts. We're going to use a line chart. Wait for it to load, and move this to the other sheet. Hit OK. There we go. Just make it a little bit bigger. And then what you want to do now is just because it's so compressed, we'll take like the lowest point here, which is 27:16. I'll just round to 27 and 28. I'll round it to 28.75. So go on chart layout, fix the axis, the vertical axis, axis options, format, change this to 27, and the upper one to 28.75. Or actually, we could actually leave that one there. Yeah, I would just go ahead and leave that one. So now this red line is the average, the green one is the upper band, and the purple one is the lower band. The reason why I did this in intraday data is because sometimes when you're day trading, you might encounter some upper and some, or if you use this for day trading, if you use the Bollinger Bands for day trading, sometimes you'll get these spikes or to the upside or to the downside. So what I want to figure out is whether I could use this to my advantage, and say if I'm day trading, if it goes beyond this 2 standard deviations, you buy it, or if it pops up, do we sell it? So again, to do that, we want to do an if statement. Go ahead, open the formulas. So we want to use the if statement. So how we do this sorry how we use this is if the close is greater than the upper band, then we want to sell it. But if it's not, then we'll just put 0. Okay, so again, so if the close is greater than the upper band, we want to sell it, but if it's not, then leave it alone. So we'll just use the variable 0 for that. Hit enter, and it gives you a 0. Double click it, and then go on, so we want to say sell. This one's the buy. So again, we do the same thing, but for a buy signal, we would write if the closing price is less than the lower band, then we would buy it, and then else we would sell it. Just leave it alone, sorry. And again, we use 0. So hit enter, go ahead and close the formula builder, double click it, and again we get some buy signals here, sell signals here, buy signals, sell, buy, sell, buy. I'm seeing a lot of buy signals rather to the sell signals. So how you want to backtest this is really up to you. But like, say what I do is I say if for each buy, I would like maybe buy 100 shares, and then come the very next sell signal, I would dump all of the buys to the sell signal. So how we would do that is I just write 100, just indicating 100 shares times closing price. And actually this would be a negative 100, because when you buy something, I consider that to be a debit, and when you sell something, I consider that to be a credit. So we use the negative 100 when you buy something, and again we use just a positive 100 for the credit. So again, hit enter. So this requires 2758 without commissions, and then just copy the same thing here. And then since you have basically bought 400 shares here, now you want to sell them. So what you want to do is, since we have 4 here, we want to sell the 400 at the very next sell signal price. So here we see the opportunity to sell the 400. So what I want to do is click hit equals 400 times the closing price here, and then hit enter. So what I just did is I canceled, I zeroed out per se these debits with this credit here. I really like this because it not only shows you it shows you, like, I'm just basically doing 100 shares, 100 share lots, but you could tell here from the volume here that, I mean, it's very plausible, I guess you could say, because it's very liquid. So I mean, 100 shares is the strategy is I guess very plausible, just because of the volume and the lots we're using. So I mean, you could go ahead and do the rest of these. Like for this one, I would just write 100 times the closing price, and just drag them here. Do the same one for this one. And I use 100 share lots just because sometimes you'll get like 6 in a row, 7 in a row, maybe even like 10 or 12 in a row. So just to have enough capital to cover all the sales or buys, I use 100 share lots, just to back test this and see if it's possible. So on this one we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We had 8 sell signals. So the very next buy signal we see, we're gonna dump all of these 800 shares. So it would be here. So we just write 800 times the closing. Hit enter. So we just dumped all the short, all these short positions we had here, down here. So you want to calculate all of these signals for the particular stock you're viewing, and then what I do is at the very end, I just hit I hit the sums just to make sure everything is zeroed out. And what I mean by that is you'll see right now. So it's M2. So you want to sum all of your debits and all of your credits. So what I'm doing here is just I'm gonna sum the sum of all of this row, all of this column here, and I'm gonna get a number, and this would be my credits, I believe, and this one should be my debits. The sum of all my debits would be 68, would be this much. So let's double check. Oh, see, what I did here was so you always want to make sure that you sum everything and compare it. And what I mean by that is that you'll get like a really weird number. You'll see what I mean. If, so the difference between the debits and your credits is basically your profit. So what I want to do is hit this minus that one. You'll get a number, but as you can see, $22,032 is like way out of your. It's like way too good of a strategy. So obviously something went wrong, and so what I did here is I forgot to put a negative sign on the sell. When we did the buy signal, I forgot to put a negative. So just hit enter, and then you're gonna get a different answer. So again, the difference between your debits and your credits is your profit. So basically, this number minus that one should give you a profit. But obviously, 33,090 minus 33. See, I made another mistake here. You're supposed to. It's the difference. It's just adding them together. So the realized or unrealized profit, I should say, is $52. Difference between your debits and credits is your profit, not counting commissions. So you want to do this for all the sell and buy. You could even write like an algorithm for this. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's really not that great. But what I do is I look at monthly views. So what I did here is basically like a month at a time that I'm viewing these. But again, just make sure that all of your data and times are there for them. And but I mean, it's pretty useful. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, and I hope this helps out.